Hello friends. Welcome to the Ben 10 What Ifs. How are you all? So we are back with an interesting movie on what if Ben 10 awakened the true bloodline of Celestial Sapiens and got Harem of Julie, Gwen and Looma. Also be sure to subscribe and like this video. Now let's begin. Chapter 1. Cosmic Awakening. The skyscraper's glass wall shattered outward. A hailstorm of crystalline daggers catching the sunset's amber glow. Ben Tennyson rode the explosion's momentum, twisting midair to track the metallic humanoid pursuing him. His Omnitrix flashed green against the darkening sky, scrolling through alien forms as gravity reclaimed him. Not exactly how I planned to spend Thursday evening, Ben muttered, slamming the dial down. Emerald light engulfed him, restructuring molecules and transforming flesh into living crystal. Diamond Head's feet struck the adjacent rooftop, diamond edges carving furrows into concrete. The Chronosapien mercenary landed opposite him, steam hissing from cybernetic joints. Its chest-mounted chronometer whirred, reality shimmering around the mechanical fingers leveled at Ben's chest. Temporal displacement cannon, Ben identified. Voice resonating through crystalline vocal cords. Let me guess, planning to scatter my atoms across different centuries. The mercenary's featureless face offered no response, but the whine of charging capacitors spoke volumes. Ben lunged forward, right arm morphing into a prismatic blade that caught the mercenary's forearm just as temporal energy erupted from its palm. The blast went wide, striking an air conditioning unit that rapidly aged to rust, then dust, then nothingness in the span of 3 seconds. Okay, definitely not getting hit by that, Ben grunted, dry. Ving a diamond shard through the mercenary's chronometer. The machine staggered back, sparks cascading from the damaged timepiece. Ben pressed his advantage, delivering a crystalline uppercut that sent the mercenary airborne. He followed, launching himself with legs transformed into diamond springs, and unleashed a barrage of crystal projectiles that perforated the cybernetic hunter. Landing with unexpected grace, Ben watched the disabled mercenary crash against a water tower. One down, he breathed, scanning the horizon where 3 more metallic figures bounded between buildings. 3 to go. The Omnitrix symbol on his chest pulsed suddenly, sending a jolt of unfamiliar energy through his crystalline form. The sensation reminded him of touching a live wire, if that wire connected directly to the universe itself. What the? Ben's question dissolved as time stopped. Not slowed, stopped. The twilight sky froze, birds suspended mid-flight like feathered sculptures. Sound died completely, even dust particles hung motionless in the air, caught in amber silence. Only Ben remained unaffected, diamond body gleaming as he cautiously moved through the frozen moment. This isn't Clockwork's ability, he whispered, voice unnervingly loud in the absolute stillness. I didn't even transform. Then he saw them, pinpricks of white light appearing around him, expanding into swirling galaxies no larger than dinner plates. Miniature cosmos danced around his crystalline form, each containing countless stars and planets in impossible detail. Ben could somehow perceive everything within them, civilizations rising and falling, stars being born and dying, all in an instant. Instinctively, he reached out to touch one. Reality snapped back like an elastic band. Sound, motion, and time resumed their relentless march. The remaining Chronosapien mercenaries converged on his position, weapons primed. Ben shook his head, disoriented by the inexplicable experience. Did anyone else just see that? He asked the empty air. Before refocusing on the immediate threat, the lead mercenary raised its arm, but before it could fire, Ben felt something shift inside him. Power surged through his diamond form, fracturing the crystal surface to reveal cosmos dark spaces between the cracks, pinpoints of starlight shining from within. Ben gasped as knowledge flooded his consciousness. He suddenly understood the mercenaries' temporal technology on a fundamental level, perceiving the manipulation of chronon particles as clearly as seeing visible light. Without conscious thought, he extended his hand and twisted it slightly. The mercenaries froze, caught in their own temporal field. How did I? Ben trailed off, staring at his hand where galaxies seemed to swirl beneath the diamond surface before fading away. The Omnitrix beeped urgently, its familiar tone jarring after the cosmic silence. Green light washed over him, reverting his form to human. The mercenaries remained frozen, confirming this wasn't simply Diamond Head's doing. Ben's phone vibrated in his pocket. He answered without checking the caller ID, eyes never leaving the time-locked machines. Ben, you need to get to Plumber HQ immediately. Rook Blanco's usually calm voice carried an edge of urgency. Something is happening with the containment fields, and Magister Tennyson says the quantum sensors are detecting anomalies centered on your location. Yeah, about that, Ben responded, running fingers through his brown hair. I'm having a pretty weird day myself. Just froze some Chronosapian mercenaries without even trying. And I think I saw stars inside me. Silence stretched across the connection before Rook spoke again. Ben, do not move. I am sending a transport to your coordinates. And whatever you do, try not to use the Omnitrix until we understand what's happening. Too late for that advice, Ben muttered, glancing at the familiar device on his wrist. For a moment, he could have sworn the green hourglass symbol contained an entire galaxy. Julie Yamamoto stood at the observation deck of Plumber headquarters, gazing at the Earth suspended in the void beyond the reinforced glass. After 5 years leading the Xenotech Integration Division on the Andromeda colony, the blue-green planet below stirred a complex mixture of nostalgia and apprehension. Home, but no longer entirely familiar. Still adjusting to the gravity? Magister Patelladay asked, approaching with a datapad tucked under his amphibian arm. Julie smiled, tugging at the sleeve of her black and blue plumber uniform. The gravity's fine, it's everything else that feels strange. She gestured toward Earth. 5 years changes a lot. Some things never change, Patelladay countered, fins flaring slightly. Ben Tennyson still finds trouble wherever he goes. Speaking of which, a sleek black and green blob emerged from Julie's collar, reforming into a small mechanical creature that chirped excitably. Ship had evolved significantly since their early days together, developing more complex communication abilities and a deeper symbiotic connection with Julie. Ship senses something too, Julie confirmed, placing a reassuring hand on her partner. That's part of why we requested transfer back to Earth. Patelladay's eyes narrowed behind his spectacles. You knew something was happening with Tennyson. Not exactly. Julie turned from the viewport, dark eyes serious beneath her short-cropped black hair. Ship started detecting quantum fluctuations 3 months ago. The pattern matched signatures we cataloged years ago when Ben accessed Alien X. Celestial Sapien energy. Patelladay's voice dropped to a near whisper. That's classified information, Magister Yamamoto. Which is why I brought it directly to Earth headquarters instead of filing a standard report. Julie gestured to the holographic displays monitoring global and interstellar threats. Has Ben been using Alien X recently? Not once in the past year. Patelladay confirmed. He hasn't needed to. Things have been relatively quiet since the Chronosapien incidents began. Ship, Julie addressed her partner, show the Magister what we detected. The small mechanoid morphed into a spherical shape, projecting a 3-dimensional energy signature that pulsed with complex patterns. At its center glowed a familiar hourglass symbol. That's impossible, Patelladay breathed. That's celestial sapien energy emanating directly from Ben himself, not the Omnitrix. Before Julie could respond, alarms blared throughout the base. The main view screen activated automatically, displaying Ben Tennyson surrounded by frozen Chronosapien mercenaries on a Bellwood rooftop. Energy readings scrolled across the bottom of the screen, numbers climbing into theoretical ranges. Looks like my homecoming is right on time, Julie said softly, as Ship returned to her shoulder. He needs help, whether he knows it yet or not. Gwen Tennyson felt it before any monitor or sensor could detect it, a cosmic ripple propagating through the fabric of reality itself. She dropped the ancient grimoire she'd been studying, Violet Eye's widening as Mana's sight automatically engaged, revealing the magical substrate of the universe. Ben, she whispered, recognizing the energy signature instantly despite its altered state. Around her, the arcane laboratory's instruments began reacting. Crystalline formations changed color, liquid-filled vials bubbled furiously, and the elaborate orrery representing dimensional convergence points spun wildly before shattering into fragments of enchanted metal. Not good, Gwen murmured, reaching for her communication crystal. Her fingers had barely brushed its surface when it activated independently, projecting the concerned face of her mentor. You felt it too, Grandmaster Helix stated rather than asked, his ageless features grave beneath a shock of white hair. It's Ben, Gwen confirmed, already gathering her equipment. Something's happening with his celestial sapien form. Not his form, Helix corrected, eyes reflecting starlight despite being indoors. This is something else entirely. Something unprecedented. Gwen paused, slinging her satchel of magical artifacts over her shoulder. What do you mean? The energy signature isn't external, Helix explained, ancient hands manipulating unseen instruments. It's emanating from within his human DNA. The Anodite observatories are detecting quantum entanglement between Ben Tennyson and at least 3 cosmic nexus points. Cold realization washed over Gwen. The celestial sapien transformation was never just the Omnitrix, was it? It was responding to something already inside him. Perhaps, Helix conceded, but something has changed. Something has awakened what was dormant. You must reach him quickly, Gwendolyn. Your connection to both human and anodite energies may be crucial in helping him stabilize. I'm already on my way, Gwen replied, summoning a mana platform beneath her feet. But, Grandmaster, what happens if he can't stabilize? Helix's expression became solemn. Then may the cosmos have mercy on us all. The communication ended, leaving Gwen alone with the implications. She and Ben had grown up together, sharing a friendship that had weathered childhood rivalries, teenage adventures, and adult responsibilities. Though not related by blood as many assumed, their bond ran deeper than most family connections. Gwen propelled her mana platform through the laboratory's skylight, accelerating toward Bellwood with determination etched across her features. Whatever Ben was becoming, she wouldn't let him face it alone. The plumber transport vessel descended toward the rooftop where Ben stood amidst the frozen Chronosapien mercenaries. His head throbbed with unfamiliar sensations, cosmic awareness pushing against the confines of human perception. When the ship's hatch opened, he was surprised to see not only Rook's familiar face but Julie stepping out behind him, ship perched on her shoulder. Julie. Ben blinked, momentarily distracted from the cosmic chaos inside his mind. When did you get back from Andromeda? About 6 hours ago, she replied with a small smile that didn't quite mask her concern. Just in time for whatever this is. She gestured to the frozen mercenaries. Ben ran a hand through his hair, a nervous habit he'd never outgrown. I don't know what happened. 1 second I was fighting as Diamondhead, the next everything stopped, and I saw stars. Galaxies. Inside me. Rook approached cautiously, Prototool scanning the temporal field surrounding the mercenaries. This is not technology, he confirmed, brow furrowed. The Cronin particles are responding directly to your biological signature. Which should be impossible, Julie added, allowing ship to flow over her arm and form a scanning device. Unless, the air shimmered beside them, Elity folding inward as a slender figure in Victorian-inspired clothing stepped through what appeared to be a tear in space itself. Unless young Benjamin carries more than just human DNA, Professor Paradox completed Julie's thought. Pocket watch gleaming in his hand. Hello, everyone. Fascinating temporal event we're having, isn't it? Ben groaned. Whenever you show up, things get exponentially more complicated. An apt observation, considering we're dealing with exponential cosmic potential, Paradox replied cheerfully, though his eyes remained serious. Though I must say, this particular intersection of timelines has proven remarkably difficult to navigate, even for one such as myself. What's happening to me? Ben demanded, wincing as another wave of cosmic awareness threatened to overwhelm his senses. Paradox studied him with ancient eyes. The simple explanation, you're awakening, Benjamin. The complex explanation would require mathematical formulas that haven't been invented yet and concepts your language lacks words to describe. Try anyway, Julie interjected, stepping protectively closer to Ben. Very well. Paradox closed his pocket watch with a decisive click. When Azimuth created the Omnitrix, he included DNA from every sentient species he could catalog, including a celestial sapien sample, one of his greatest achievements, considering their nature. I know this part, Ben said impatiently. What you don't know, Paradox continued, is that the Omnitrix shouldn't have been able to transform you into Alien X at all. Celestial sapien DNA is fundamentally incompatible with other life forms. The transformation should have been impossible, unless the recipient already carried compatible genetic markers. Silence fell as the implication settled over the group. Are you saying Ben finally managed, that I'm part celestial sapien. That's impossible. I'm human. My parents are human. Genetics is rarely so straightforward, especially when dealing with beings who exist partially outside conventional reality, Paradox explained. The dormant cosmic potential in your DNA might go back thousands of generations, a single celestial sapien who visited Earth eons ago, perhaps. The genetic markers became so diluted they were virtually undetectable. Until the Omnitrix, Rook realized. The device recognized the compatibility. Precisely, Paradox confirmed. Each transformation into Alien X strengthened those markers, awakening what lay dormant. And now, something has triggered a full awakening. Ben stared at his hands, seeing momentary glimpses of galaxies beneath his skin. So what happens now? Am I turning into a celestial sapien permanently? Before Paradox could answer, a violet portal opened above them. Gwen descended on a platform of shimmering mana, her eyes glowing with arcane energy. Ben, she called, taking in the scene with a quick glance. I felt the cosmic disturbance from 3 states away. Ah, excellent timing, Ms. Tennyson, Paradox greeted her. Your anodite abilities make you particularly sensitive to the energies Benjamin is manifesting. Gwen landed beside Ben, immediately placing a hand on his arm. Her eyes widened. This isn't just celestial sapien energy, she whispered. It's integrated with your human essence. I can see both energies intertwined at a fundamental level, which is precisely why we must move quickly. Paradox urged. The Chronosapien Collective didn't send these mercenaries by accident. They've detected the awakening and consider it a threat to temporal stability. As if responding to his words, the frozen mercenaries began to vibrate slightly, the temporal stasis weakening. We need to get him to headquarters, Julie decided, slipping effortlessly into command mode. The containment fields might help stabilize his energy output. A temporary solution at best, Paradox cautioned. But yes, prudent for now. Ben took a step toward the transport vessel and stumbled. Cosmic awareness suddenly flooding his consciousness. The buildings, the sky, his friends, everything seemed to exist in multiple states simultaneously, probability streams flowing around each person like luminous rivers. I can see everything, he gasped, dropping to one knee. Too much. Can't focus. Julie and Gwen moved to support him from either side, but the moment they touched him, something extraordinary happened. The chaotic cosmic energy surging through Ben's system suddenly found focus points, channeling through the connections to stabilize. That's better, Ben managed, inking as his perception returned to manageable levels. What did you do? Nothing intentional, Gwen replied, looking as surprised as he felt. She studied her hand where it touched his arm, violet. Energy intermingling with the cosmic patterns beneath his skin. But there's some kind of resonance effect happening. Julie nodded, noticing a similar phenomenon where Ship had extended part of its form to connect with Ben. Ship says he's acting as a conduit, helping regulate the energy flow. Fascinating, Paradox murmured, studying the 3 of them with newfound interest. It appears you've found your anchors, Benjamin. A development I confess I didn't foresee in quite this way. Before anyone could question this cryptic statement, the Chronosapien mercenaries broke free from temporal stasis with a concussive blast that sent everyone sprawling. The machines converged, weapons charging, their singular focus on Ben unmistakable. Get to the ship, Rook shouted, proto-tool transforming into a shield configuration. Ben reached for the Omnitrix, but Paradox caught his wrist. Not yet, the Time Walker warned. In your current transitional state, transforming could accelerate the awakening beyond control. Then what am I supposed to? Ben's question died as the lead mercenary fired. Time slowed, not by external force, but through Ben's perception. He saw the energy blast approaching in microscopic detail, chronon particles spinning in complex patterns. Without the Omnitrix, without conscious thought, he raised his hand and simply rewrote the equation. The blast reversed course, striking the mercenary that fired it. The machine imploded, folding inward as though crushed by temporal pressure. Okay, that's new, Ben whispered, staring at his hand in shock. The remaining mercenaries recalibrated, adapting their strategy. One launched into the air, targeting the transport vessel's engines, while the other advanced on Ben directly. Gwen's mana shields materialized, blocking the attack on the ship. Meanwhile, Julie's body flowed with mechanized patterns as ship integrated with her armor, enhancing her reflexes and strength. "Been practicing," Julie explained, intercepting the mercenary advancing on Ben with a technologically enhanced roundhouse kick that sent the machine skidding backward. Despite the immediate danger, Ben found himself momentarily transfixed by the sight of Julie in action. The years on Andromeda had transformed her from the tennis player he'd known into a formidable combatant, movements precise and confident. The distraction NEA/RLY cost him as the third mercenary teleported directly behind him. Ben sensed the displacement an instant before metal fingers clasped around his throat. Temporal extraction protocol engaged, the machine intoned, its chronometer glowing ominously. Target DNA sequence identified. Ben struggled, cosmic energy flaring wildly as his control slipped. Buildings around them began to shift, aging A&D rejuvenating randomly as reality fluctuated in response to his distress. "Ben!" Gwen shouted, redirecting her mana to form a containment field around him, trying to stabilize the cosmic discharge. The mercenary's grip tightened. Celestial Sapien hybrid confirmed. Preservation protocol override. Termination authorized. A flash of green light streaked across the rooftop, striking the mercenary with pinpoint precision. The machine released Ben, circuits sizzling from the energy weapon's impact. "I believe termination will be postponed indefinitely," came a gravelly voice from the transport vessel's hatch. Ben looked up to see a diminutive gray figure standing with a smoking energy pistol. Azimuth, the Galvan creator of the Omnitrix, jumped down, landing nimbly despite his small stature. "Did you think I wouldn't notice when my greatest creation began interfacing with cosmic forces beyond its design parameters?" With surprising strength for his size, Azimuth pulled Ben away from the damaged mercenary. "The Chronosapien Collective has overstepped. They have no authority to determine your fate." "Since when do you care about my fate?" Ben asked, rubbing his throat. "Since always, you impulsive primate," Azimuth retorted, though without his usual acerbic edge. "Though I'll admit, I didn't anticipate this particular development." The mercenary struggled to rise, systems attempting to repair the damage. Azimuth turned toward it, expression hardening. "Your mission has failed," he addressed the machine directly. "Return to your collective and deliver this message. Benjamin Tennyson is under my protection. Any further attempts to interfere with his cosmic evolution will be considered an act of war against Galvan Prime." The mercenary's lights flickered as it processed this information. After a moment, it and its damaged companions vanished in flashes of temporal energy. "That won't stop them for long," Azimuth warned, turning back to Ben. "The Chronosapiens fear you're becoming, and not without reason." "Which is what, exactly?" Ben demanded, cosmic energy still swirling visibly beneath his skin. Azimuth sighed, suddenly looking every bit his thousands of years. "Something unprecedented. A human with the power of a celestial sapien, but without their divided consciousness. No Serena and Bellicus to create eternal debate and inaction. Just you, Benjamin, with all your human impulsiveness and emotion, wielding the power to reshape reality itself." The implications hung heavy in the air. "We need to get him somewhere secure," Julie insisted, ship ref. Orming into his more compact shape on her shoulder. "If the Chronosapiens found him, others will too." "Agreed," Azimuth nodded, "but no containment field on Earth will hold these energies for long. We need to understand what triggered the awakening before we can stabilize it." Gwen approached, mana still flowing around her hands as she helped regulate Ben's energy output. "I might have an idea about that." The Anodite Grandmaster mentioned cosmic nexus points becoming entangled with Ben's energy signature. "Of course," Paradox murmured, suddenly animated. "The alignment. It's happening sooner than calculated." "What alignment?" Rook asked, keeping watch for additional threats. "A rare cosmic event," Azimuth explained, casting an annoyed glance at Paradox. 3 specific celestial bodies aligning with dimensional weak points, creating a resonance effect that can awaken dormant cosmic potential. "Like mine," Ben concluded, looking between Azimuth and Paradox. "But why now? I've had the Omnitrix for years." "Because you needed to be ready," Paradox said simply. "The universe has its own timetable, Benjamin." Before further explanations could be offered, the Omnitrix beeped urgently. Its familiar green glow had taken on an unusual iridescent quality, holographic symbols appearing above the dial in a language none of them recognized. That's not standard Omnitrix behavior, Ben noted unnecessarily, staring at the alien device. No, Azimuth agreed, his expression grave. It's responding to your transformation on a fundamental level. He gestured toward the transport. E must return to Plumber headquarters immediately. I need to examine both you and the Omnitrix under controlled conditions. As they boarded the vessel, Ben found himself between Julie and Gwen. Our presence somehow dampening the chaotic cosmic energy threatening to overwhelm him. He caught Julie studying him with an expression he couldn't quite decipher. 5 years, he said quietly. And you come back right when all this starts happening. A small smile touched her lips. Maybe not a coincidence. Ship started detecting the energy changes months ago. It's partly why we requested transfer back to Earth. You came back because of me? Ben asked, surprised. I came back because something unprecedented is happening, Julie corrected, though her eyes softened. But finding you in the middle of it? Not exactly shocking. Gwen smothered a laugh. Some things never change. As the transport lifted off, Ben gazed down at Bellwood, the city he'd protected since childhood. From this height, the buildings looked like toys. The people invisible. For a disorienting moment, he perceived the city across multiple timelines simultaneously. What it had been, what it was, what it might become. Everything's changing, he whispered, more to himself than the others. And I don't know if I can control it. Julie's hand found his, firm and reassuring. You won't have to do it alone. The simple touch grounded him, pulling his perception back to the present moment. Ben managed a grateful smile, trying to ignore the unsettling sensation of cosmic power flowing between them. Whatever he was becoming, the journey had only just begun. Plumber headquarters buzzed with controlled chaos as alerts continued to register cosmic anomalies across the globe. Magister Tennyson had Establiss head a secure research area where Azimuth could examine Ben without interruption. Fascinating, the Galvan muttered, reviewing holographic displays of Ben's DNA structure. The celestial sapien sequences were always present, but dormant, camouflaged within what appeared to be junk DNA. Ben sat on an examination table, various scanners mapping the energy patterns flowing through his body. So I've been part alien my whole life without knowing it. Many humans carry traces of non-terrestrial DNA, Azimuth replied absently, manipulating the holographic model. Earth has experienced countless extraterrestrial visitations throughout its history. Most genetic contributions are negligible, a few markers that might manifest as unusual talents or intuitive abilities. But mine isn't negligible, Ben concluded. No, Azimuth agreed. Yours is exceptionally rare. Celestial sapiens seldom interact with other life forms directly. For one to have contributed to the human genome would explain why the Omnitrix chose Ben in the first place, Gwen suggested from where she monitored the energy readings. It wasn't random chance. Azimuth's expression turned thoughtful. Perhaps not. The Omnitrix is programmed to seek compatible hosts, those with natural genetic flexibility. In the adjacent laboratory, Julie worked with Ship to analyze the temporal residue collected from the Chronosapien mercenaries. The sophisticated equipment of Plumber headquarters, combined with Ship's unique abilities, allowed for detailed examination of the exotic particles. They weren't just trying to eliminate Ben, she told Rook, pointing to a molecular structure displayed on the screen. This compound is designed for genetic extraction. They wanted his DNA. Rook frowned. For what purpose? That's what worries me, Julie replied, absently stroking Ship as he chirped anxiously. Chronosapiens exist partially outside conventional time. If they're concerned about Ben's awakening, then the implications extend beyond our current understanding, Rook finished. In the main command center, Magister Tennyson coordinated with off-world Plumber bases, establishing monitoring protocols for the increasing cosmic disturbances. His weathered face betrayed the concern he wouldn't voice aloud, that his grandson stood at the center of potentially universe-altering events. Professor Paradox moved between all three areas, offering cryptic observations and occasionally consulting his pocket watch with a furrowed brow. Unlike his usual unflappable demeanor, the Time Walker seemed genuinely uncertain about the unfolding situation. Ben, meanwhile, struggled to maintain focus as his perception continued to shift between normal human awareness and overwhelming cosmic consciousness. The clinical environment of the examination room would occasionally dissolve around him, revealing the quantum framework underlying physical reality. "Your transformation is accelerating," Azimuth noted with concern, observing new data streaming across his monitors. "At this rate, your human consciousness may not be able to contain the cosmic awareness much longer." "What happens then?" Ben asked, trying to keep the fear from his voice. Azimuth hesitated. "Best case scenario, your mind evolves to accommodate the new perceptions. Worst case." He left the thought unfinished. The laboratory door slid open as Julie entered, carrying a data tablet. "I think I found something," she announced, placing the tablet where everyone could see it. "The temporal particles left by the mercenaries have a unique signet. They're not just from any point in time, but specifically from a period called the Chronarch Conjunction. The birth of the first Chronosapiens." Azimuth recognized the term immediately. "Approximately 12 billion years ago. By Earth reckoning. What's significant," Julie continued, "is that this period coincides with ancient Anodite records of a cosmic event called the Celestial Schism." Gwen's eyes widened. "The separation of the Celestial Sapiens from the primary universal consciousness. It's mentioned in the oldest Anodite texts." "These can't be coincidences," Ben said, wincing, as another wave of cosmic awareness washed over him. "The Chronosapiens, my awakening, all of it connected to events from the beginning of time." "Time is rarely linear when cosmic forces are involved," Paradox interjected, appearing beside them without warning. "What happened 12 billion years ago, what's happening now, and what will happen at the end of all things, they're more connected than you realize." Ben groaned. "Could you be any more cryptic?" "Absolutely," Paradox replied with a faint smile. "But in this instance, clarity serves us better." He turned to Azimuth. "The Chronosapiens Collective believes Benjamin's awakening will trigger another schism, one that could potentially rewrite the fundamental laws of reality." "That's impossible," Azimuth scoffed, though his tone lacked conviction. "Even a fully realized Celestial Sapien is bound by certain cosmic constants." "A pure Celestial Sapien, yes," Paradox agreed. "But Benjamin is something new, Celestial Sapien power filtered through human consciousness, unrestricted by the multiple personalities that limit their kind." The Omnitrix suddenly pulsed, projecting a three-dimensional star map into the center of the room. Constellations unknown to Earth astronomy rotated slowly, 3 specific points glowing brighter than the rest. The nexus points, Gwen identified, recognizing the pattern from her Anodite studies. "They're aligning." The door slid open again as Magister Tennyson entered, his expression grim. "We've got company," he announced. "Multiple ships just entered the solar system, Tetraman, Inkersine, and something we can't identify. They've detected the cosmic disturbance," Azimuth realized. "News travels quickly when reality itself begins to fluctuate." Ben slid off the examination table, dying himself against a sudden wave of dizziness. "So everyone's either coming to help me or destroy me, and we don't know which until they get here." "Typical Tuesday." "It's Thursday," Rook corrected automatically. Figure of speech. Ben, Gwen, and Julie responded in unison, sharing a brief smile despite the circumstances. Magister Tennyson approached his grandson, placing a hand on his shoulder. "How are you holding up, Ben? Apart from turning into a cosmic entity, being hunted by time-traveling robots, and apparently causing a galactic incident." Ben managed a wry smile. "Just another day saving the universe." The older man nodded, pride visible beneath his concern. "Whatever happens, we'll face it together." "About that," Paradox interrupted, checking his pocket watch with increasing frequency. "I calculate we have approximately 17 minutes before the alignment reaches critical phase. When that happens, Benjamin's transformation will accelerate exponentially. And then," Magister Tennyson pressed. Paradox's ancient eyes met Ben's. "Then he either masters his awakening, or the universe experiences a fundamental reorganization of reality." The gravity of the situation settled over the room. "So, no pressure," Ben quipped, though his voice lacked its usual confidence. Azimuth studied the star map still projected from the Omnitrix, his brilliant mind calculating possibilities. "We need to stabilize the energy flow during the alignment. Create a buffer between Benjamin's awakening power and the universe at large. How? Julie asked. None of our containment technology is designed for cosmic-level energies. Not technology, Gwen realized, violet energy flickering around her hands as she studied Ben's aura. Connection. When Julie and I were both in contact with Ben on the rooftop, his energy stabilized. Of course. Azimuth's eyes lit with understanding. Personal quantum entanglement. The cosmic energy responds to emotional connections, creating resonance patterns that can channel and focus the power. Ben looked between Julie and Gwen, comprehension dawning. You're saying they can help anchor me during the transformation? Precisely, Paradox confirmed. Though it's not without risk to them. The energies involved could potentially affect anyone connected to you during the alignment. Julie stepped forward without hesitation. Quote, I didn't come all the way from Andromeda to back out now. We've been through worse, Gwen added, though her slight frown suggested she wasn't entirely convinced of that. Ben started to object, but another surge of cosmic awareness cut his protest short. This time, the perception shift was more intense than before, reality seeming to peel away like layers of an onion, revealing deeper and deeper structures of existence. He gasped, dropping to one knee as starlight shone from his eyes. It's starting. I can feel it. The Omnitrix flared with energy, its green glow suffusing the room as the projected star map began rotating faster. Alarm systems throughout the base activated, sensors registering energy levels beyond their calibrated limits. We need to move him to the containment chamber, Magister Tennyson ordered. Already heading for the door. It won't hold the energy completely, but it might help direct it. As they helped Ben to his feet, the facility's main communications system activated. A deep, gravelly voice filled the room, one Ben recognized immediately despite years since their last encounter. Attention Earth Facility, Warlord Gar Redwind of the Tetraman Empire announced. Our sensors detect the awakening of a celestial. Surrender the Star Child to us immediately, or face the consequences. Perfect timing, Ben muttered, leaning on Gwen and Julie as they guided him toward the containment area. Tetraman diplomacy hasn't changed. They're not the only ones interested, Rook reported, checking the tactical display on his proto-tool. The unidentified vessel is broadcasting on frequencies associated with the Contemelia. The Contemelia, Azimuth's normally unflappable demeanor cracked slightly. They haven't interacted with this dimension in eons. As they entered the massive spherical chamber designed to contain the most dangerous energies and life forms, Ben felt another shift in perception. This time, he saw not just the physical world and its quantum underpinnings, but timelines, countless possible futures branching from this moment. In many, devastation followed his awakening. In others, a new cosmic order emerged. In a precious few, balance was maintained. The weight of infinite possibilities pressed against his consciousness. I can see everything, he whispered as they helped him to the center of the chamber. So many futures, so many ways this could end. Focus on now, Julie urged, taking his hand firmly in hers. One moment at a time. Gwen took his other hand, violet energy flowing between them. We're with you, Ben. The Omnitrix pulsed once more. Then projected a countdown visible to everyone. 543. 542. 541. The alignment, Azimuth explained unnecessarily. When it reaches 0, the transformation will reach critical phase. Paradox adjusted settings on the containment field generators, moving with uncharacteristic urgency. The chamber will help direct the energy upward, away from the Earth's surface. What about the ships in orbit? Magister Tennyson asked. They chose to be here, Paradox replied simply. Benjamin's safety takes priority. As the countdown continued, Ben felt his awareness expanding further, stretching beyond Earth to perceive the vessels in orbit. The Tetraman warship bristled with weapons, though he sensed hesitation from its commander. The Contemelia craft existed in multiple states simultaneously, its very structure defying conventional physics. And approaching rapidly from the outer system, a third ship, sleek, predatory, and intimately familiar. Vilgax, Ben identified, the name escaping his lips as a statement of fact rather than alarm. He's coming too. How do you know? Rook questioned, checking the long-range sensors. I can see him, Ben replied, eyes glowing with starlight. I can see everything. As the countdown passed 3 minutes, the cosmic energy flowing through Ben intensified. The chamber's walls began to glow with absorbed power, safety systems struggling to compensate for energies they were never designed to contain. Julie and Gwen maintained their grip on Ben's hands, though both winced as cosmic energy flowed into them through the connection. Ship extended his form to cover Julie's arm, helping buffer the power, while Gwen's anodite heritage allowed her to channel the energy through mana fields. "Something's happening," Gwen gasped, her eyes taking on a violet glow. "I can feel knowledge flowing into me." Julie nodded, similar awareness dawning in her expression. "The cosmic energy, it carries information, understanding." Ben looked between them, concern briefly overriding his own transformation. "Are you okay? We should stop." "No," they responded in unison, gripping his hands tighter. "We're your anchors," Gwen explained, voice resonating with new power. "This is supposed to happen." The countdown reached 1 minute as the facility shuddered under the strain of containing the cosmic energies. Outside, the sky above Plumber headquarters darkened unnaturally, stars becoming visible despite the daylight hour. "The dimensional barriers are thinning," Azimuth observed, monitoring the readings with growing concern. "If they collapse completely." "They won't," Ben stated with sudden certainty, standing straighter as understanding flooded his consciousness. "I see it now. What I'm becoming. What I'm meant to do." The countdown reached 0. Light erupted from Ben's form, a column of cosmic energy blasting upward through the containment chamber's ceiling, through the facility's upper levels, and into the sky beyond. The beam continued into space, visible across half the planet as a luminous bridge between Earth and the stars. Within that light, Ben Tennyson transformed. His human form remained, but galaxies now visibly swirled beneath his skin. The Omnitrix merged with his being, its mechanical structure becoming organic, the hourglass symbol appearing as a constellation on his chest. His eyes held universes, his voice echoed across dimensions. "I understand now," he spoke, each word resonating with cosmic harmonics. "The celestial sapiens, they weren't always as they are now. They were once like me." Through their connection, Julie and Gwen shared in his revelation, their own forms subtly changing, not transforming as dramatically as Ben, but evolving in respawn. Say to the cosmic energy flowing through them. The schism, Gwen realized, violet energy swirling around her in complex patterns. It wasn't just separation from universal consciousness, it was the creation of multiple personalities within each celestial sapien. A failsafe, Julie continued, ship's form flowing across her skin in new configurations, integrating with the cosmic energy. To prevent any single will from wielding that much power unchecked. "But you're different," Paradox stated, observing the transformation with fascination rather than fear. "Human consciousness, singular yet complex, balanced by emotional connections rather than divided personalities." Ben nodded, the movement leaving trails of starlight in the air. The Chronosapiens feared this awakening because it sensed something new, a different kind of cosmic being. Above them, the facility's ceiling had disintegrated, offering a clear view of the sky where the beam of light connected Earth to the cosmic alignment visible beyond. The approaching ships had halted their advance, observing the phenomenon with what could only be described as cosmic awe. "Is it over?" Magister Tennyson asked cautiously, shielding his eyes from the radiance emanating from his grandson. "No," Ben replied, his voice carrying both warmth and unfathomable power. "It's just beginning." The light column intensified once more, then collapsed inward, condensing into Ben's transformed body. The sudden release of pressure created a shockwave that rippled outward, passing harmlessly through organic matter but disrupting technology throughout the facility. When vision cleared, Ben stood at the center of the chamber, his appearance almost normal again, except for the stars that still shone in his eyes and the subtle cosmic energy that shimmered beneath his skin. Julie and Gwen remained beside him, their forms likewise stabilized but subtly altered. Julie's connection with Ship had deepened, technorganic patterns visible beneath her skin when she moved. Gwen's anodite heritage had been enhanced, her mana abilities now intertwined with cosmic awareness. "Well," Ben said after a moment, his voice once again his own despite the echo of cosmos behind it. "That was intense." The understatement broke the tension, drawing surprised laughter from those present. Benjamin Tennyson, Azimuth addressed him, expressee. On caught between scientific fascination and concern. How do you feel? Ben considered the question, taking inventory of his transformed self. Like me, but more. I can still feel the cosmic awareness, but it's not overwhelming anymore. It's just there, when I need it. And the power? Paradox inquired carefully. Also there, Ben confirmed, raising a hand where galaxies still visibly swirled beneath the skin. But controlled, focused. Through us, Julie added, looking at her own hands where ship's patterns integrated with cosmic energy. We're connected on a quantum level now. A triumvirate. Gwen identified the pattern, drawing on newly acquired cosmic knowledge. 3 is 1, maintaining balance. Before anyone could respond, the facility's communication system activated once more. This time, multiple signals came through simultaneously: the Tetraman warlord, the Contemlia representatives, and the unmistakable voice of Vilgax. The Star Child has awakened, the Tetraman declared, his tone now reverent rather than demanding. The prophecy is fulfilled. The pattern is recognized, came the shifting, multi-layered voice of the Contemlia. The observer has emerged, Tennyson. Vilgax's voice dripped with familiar malice, though underlying it ran a new emotion, uncertainty. Whatever you have become, it changes nothing between us. Ben exchanged glances with Julie and Gwen, sharing a silent communication that transcended words. I should probably deal with this, he said, cosmic energy swirling around him. Before anyone starts shooting, we'll come with you, Julie stated rather than offered, ship rippling across her skin in agreement. Triumvirate, Gwen reminded him with a small smile, mana and cosmic energy intertwining around her hands. Ben nodded, feeling the connection between them, stronger than friendship, deeper than romance, a quantum entanglement that transcended conventional relationships. As they prepared to face whatever awaited them above, Ben reflected on the transformation that had irrevocably changed his life. He was still himself, still Ben Tennyson, still the hero who had protected Earth since childhood, but now something more as well. Whatever challenges the cosmos had in store, he wouldn't face them alone. Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, Tetraman Emissary. Starlight danced beneath Ben's skin as he stared at his reflection, tracing constellations that shifted with each heartbeat. 3 days had passed since his cosmic awakening, and the transformation remained both wondrous and terrifying. His quarters in Plum, headquarters, hastily converted from a standard dormitory into a monitoring station, felt simultaneously claustrophobic and infinitely vast as his perception continued to fluctuate between human limitations and cosmic awareness. Focus, he muttered, pressing his palms against the cool metal sink. Just be normal for 5 minutes. The request, directed at his own rebellious consciousness, went unheeded. Reality flickered, the bathroom momentarily dissolving into quantum patterns before resolidifying. Ben exhaled slowly, watching galaxies swirl in his irises. A gentle knock interrupted his concentration. Ben, Julie's voice carried through the door. Azimuth wants to see you in the laboratory. Something about your readings. Give me a minute, he called back, splashing water on his face in a futile attempt to appear more human. The door slid open regardless, revealing Julie in her modified plumber uniform, ship perched on her shoulder like an attentive familiar. She paused, RVing Ben's frustrated expression with quiet understanding. Rough morning, she asked, leaning against the doorframe. Ben gestured vaguely at his reflection. Just trying to look less cosmic. Junior plumbers keep bowing when I walk past. It's weird. You did ascend to near godhood in front of half the organization, Julie pointed out reasonably. That tends to leave an impression. I'm still me, Ben insisted, turning to face her, just with extras. Julie stepped forward, her movement fluid and precise, a lingering effect of her own transformation. Since the awakening, ship's mechanoid properties had integrated more deeply with her biology, creating technorganic enhancements visible as iridescent circuitry beneath her skin when she exerted herself. Nobody's arguing that, she assured him, studying his eyes where galaxies continued to swirl. But you can't expect everything to go back to normal overnight. Ben sighed, running fingers through hair that occasionally dissolved into stardust when his concentration lapsed. I know, it's just overwhelming. I can perceive quantum fluctuations in my breakfast cereal, Julie. How is anyone supposed to adjust to that? A small smile touched her lips. One day at a time, like everything else. She extended her hand. Come on. If anyone can help, it's Azimuth. Ben hesitated briefly before taking her offered hand. Contact produced an immediate effect. His cosmic perception dampened to manageable levels, reality stabilizing around them. The quantum entanglement between them, forged during his awakening, continued to serve as an anchor for his expansive consciousness. Better? Julie asked, though his expression had already provided the answer. Much, Ben confirmed, reluctantly releasing her hand after several seconds longer than necessary. Thanks. Triumvirate, she reminded him, using Gwen's term for their three-way connection. That's what we're here for. As they navigated the corridors of Plumber headquarters, Ben noticed the reactions had indeed changed. Where once he'd been respected as a veteran hero, now personnel regarded him with something approaching reverence, conversations hushing as he passed. Gazes following his movement with awe and occasional trepidation. This is exactly what I didn't want, he murmured to Julie. People treating me differently. Give them time, she advised. They're adjusting too. The laboratory doors parted automatically, revealing a space transformed by Azimuth's exacting standards. Galvan technology meshed with Earth equipment in configurations that defied conventional engineering. All focused on monitoring and analyzing Ben's evolving condition. Azimuth himself hovered above a holographic display, manipulating equations that sprawled in 3 dimensions. Gwen stood nearby, violet energy rippling around her hands as she contributed anodite insights to whatever problem they were tackling. Ah, Benjamin, Azimuth acknowledged without looking up. Your erratic energy emissions woke me from a perfectly adequate rest cycle. Sorry about that, Ben replied, approaching the central platform. I was having a moment. She temporarily altered the quantum signature of this entire facility, Azimuth clarified, finally turning to face him. Your control is slipping. Ben winced. I'm trying. Trying isn't sufficient. You can rewrite reality with a stray thought, the Galvan replied, though his tone lacked its usual acerbic edge. We need consistent stabilization. Gwen dismissed the mana construct she'd been manipulating, turning to join the conversation. Her transformation had been subtler than Ben's or Julie's, her anodite heritage providing a natural conduit for cosmic energy, but still evident in the light that occasionally flashed through her violet eyes and the deepened resonance of her voice. We've been working on a solution, she explained, summoning a holographic representation of 3 interlinked energy signatures. The triumvirate connection stabilizes your output when we're in proximity, but we need something more permanent. Why? Ben questioned, studying the hologram. We stay close, I stay stable. Simple. Because, genius, Azimuth interjected, you 3 cannot remain within arm's reach indefinitely. The universe requires your attention in different places simultaneously. Plus, Julie added pragmatically, we occasionally need personal space. Ben conceded the point with a nod. Fair enough. So what's the solution? Azimuth manipulated the hologram, expanding it to show 3 small devices. Modified quantum entanglement transmitters. They won't provide the full stabilizing effect of direct contact, but they should prevent catastrophic reality fluctuations when you're separated. They're beautiful, Gwen remarked, examining the intricate designs. Each device bore unique characteristics. One incorporated flowing mana patterns clearly intended for Gwen, Another featured mechanoid integration points compatible with ship, while the third contained miniaturized versions of the Omnitrix's internal stabilizers. Merely functional, Azimuth dismissed the compliment. Though Ben noticed the slight straightening of the Galvan's posture that always accompanied pride in his work. They require final calibration to your specific energy signatures. As Azimuth explained the calibration process, Ben's attention drifted momentarily. His cosmic awareness expanded outward, perceiving the facility, then Earth, then the surrounding space where various vessels continued to maintain orbit since his awakening. The Tetraman warship remained closest, its engines powered down in a gesture of peaceful intent. Something pulled at his consciousness, a ripple in Spock. Time approaching from the direction of the Tetraman vessel. Ben snapped back to full awareness just as the facility's alert system activated. Incoming transport detected, the automated system announced. Tetraman signature. Approach vector indicates authorized landing bay. We're expecting Tetramans. Ben asked, looking between the others. Magister Tennyson authorized a diplomatic envoy, Julie explained, sharing a significant glance with Azimuth. Apparently, Warlord Gar Redwind has something important to discuss with you. With me specifically, or with? Ben gestured vaguely at his cosmos-infused self. Both, I imagine, Gwen replied. The Tetraman transmission mentioned something called a Star Child when you transformed. They seem to think your awakening fulfills some prophecy. Ben groaned. Perfect. More cosmic destiny stuff. Actually, Azimuth interjected, powering down his equipment. Tetraman prophecies tend to be based on historical records rather than mystical portents. Their civilization is considerably older than Earth's. If they have information about previous cosmic awakenings, it could prove invaluable. Then we shouldn't keep them waiting, Julie decided. Professional diplomacy mode engaging. I'll handle the initial reception. I should come too, Ben said, trying to ignore the way starlight briefly flared beneath his skin at the prospective meeting with aliens who viewed him as a prophesied figure. If they're here to see me, hiding would send the wrong message. Azimuth studied him critically. Your control is still erratic. Perhaps it would be wiser. I'll be fine, Ben interrupted, straightening his shoulders. Julie and Gwen will be with me. Triumvirate, remember. The Galvan sighed with the long-suffering patience of a genius perpetually surrounded by less evolved beings. Very well, but take these. He gestured to the quantum entanglement transmitters. We can complete calibration after the meeting. As they say, cured the devices. Julie's integrating seamlessly with ship's form, Gwen's attaching to her mana-focus bracelet, Ben's linking to the Omnitrix's core. Magister Tennyson's voice came through the communication system. The Tetraman delegation has arrived, he informed them. And you might want to prepare yourselves. Their representative is significant. The landing bay's massive doors parted to reveal a Tetraman transport vessel, smaller than a warship but still imposingly large compared to Earth craft. Its crimson hull bore elaborate insignia denoting royal lineage, gold and obsidian embell. Ishments catching the bay's lighting dramatically. That's not a standard diplomatic shuttle, Rook observed from beside Magister Tennyson, prototool held casually but ready. That's a royal conveyance. Indeed, the older plumber confirmed, straightening his uniform. Warlord Gar informed me he was sending a representative with direct knowledge of their Star Child prophecies. He didn't mention it would be his daughter. A hydraulic whine announced the transport's ramp extending, atmospheric steam billowing dramatically around its base. Through the mist emerged a towering figure, 7 feet. Of crimson muscle and gleaming battle armor. Princess Looma Redwind, heir to the Tetraman throne, strode down the ramp with the confidence of one born to command. All 4 of her arms bore ceremonial weapons. Her helmet crowned with the royal crest of her house. Behind her marched 8 Tetraman royal guards, each nearly as imposing as their princess, forming a precise ceremonial pattern as they took positions at the base of the ramp. This complicates matters, Magister Tennyson murmured. Looma has history with Ben. I am aware of their former betrothal, Rook replied quietly. Huff, I understood that arrangement was terminated. Technically, yes, but Tetraman customs regarding royal engagements are remarkably persistent. Before they could discuss further implications, the bay doors opposite the transport opened to admit Ben, Julie, and Gwen. Ben had managed to suppress the more visible signs of his cosmic nature, though attentive observers might still notice the occasional flicker of starlight beneath his skin when he moved suddenly. Looma's reaction was immediate and multifaceted. Her upper right hand twitched toward her ceremonial blade, a reflexive response to the sight of her former betrothed. Simultaneously, her lower hands formed a traditional Tetraman gesture of cosmic recognition. Most tellingly, her expression cycled rapidly through recognition, indignation, and finally something approaching reverent awe. Benjamin Tennyson, she proclaimed, voice carrying the distinctive resonant quality of Tetraman royalty. The awakened one, the star child of prophecy. Ben stepped forward, acknowledging her with a respectful nod that carefully avoided any specific Tetraman gestures that might carry unintended diplomatic implications. Princess Looma, it's been a while. 5 Earth years, 2 months, 17 days, she replied with precise recall. Since you manipulated me into breaking our betrothal. Julie raised an eyebrow at this but maintained her diplomatic composure. Princess Looma, welcome to Earth. I'm Magister Julie Yamamoto, diplomatic liaison for this sector. I know who you are, Looma responded, all four eyes assessing Julie with unnerving intensity. The one who walks with machines. You stand among the triumvirate. Her gaze shifted to Gwen. As does the Mana Weaver. The prophecy unfolds exactly as written. An uncomfortable silence fell across the landing bay. Ben cleared his throat, cosmic energy briefly flaring beneath his skin before he suppressed it. Maybe we should continue this conversation somewhere more comfortable, he suggested. The grand meeting chamber is prepared for diplomatic discussions. I did not come for diplomatic pleasantries, Looma declared, removing her helmet to reveal Fee. Churish that combined Tetraman warrior aesthetics with unexpected regal beauty. I came because my world faces extinction, and only the Star Child can prevent it. The blunt statement achieved what protocol could not: immediate, undivided attention. Please, Magister Tennyson gestured toward the interior corridor, allow us to move to secure chambers where we can discuss such matters properly. Looma hesitated, then nodded curtly. She issued brief instructions to her guards in the Tetraman native tongue, its percussive consonants echoing through the bay. 4 warriors remained with the ship, while 4 formed an honor guard around their princess. As they proceeded through the facility, Ben found himself walking alongside Looma, acutely aware of both their complex history and the significant height difference between them. The Tetraman princess moved with the precision of a lifelong warrior, each step perfectly measured despite the unfamiliar gravity. So, Ben attempted conversationally. Extinction seems pretty serious. Want to give me the preview version? Looma's 4 eyes regarded him sidelong. Your transformation has caused ripples across the cosmos, Benjamin. Some beneficial, others catastrophic. On Koros, the ancient chambers beneath the royal palace have awakened, chambers that have remained dormant since the first confluence. The first confluence? Gwen inquired from behind them. Scholarly interest peaked. The time of creation and destruction, Looma explained without turning. When stars were born and died in the same moment, when reality had not yet solidified into fixed laws. The time of the Celestials. They reached the meeting chamber, a hexagonal room with adaptable seating for various species and integrated holographic projectors for presentations. Magister Tennyson took position at the head of the table, with Ben, Julie, and Gwen to his right, Looma and her guards to his left. Rook stood at attention near the entrance, ever vigilant. Once seated, Looma placed a crystalline orb on the table's center. It activated at her touch, projecting a 3-dimensional image of Koros, the Tetraman homeworld, with areas of alarming distortion visible across its surface. 3 days ago, when you awakened, she addressed Ben directly, these reality fractures began appearing. They defy our most advanced science. Matter enters them and emerges, changed. Or doesn't emerge at all. Spatial rifts, Julie observed, ship extending from her shoulder to analyze the projection more closely. Similar to what happened here during Ben's transformation. But persistent rather than temporary. And expanding, Looma confirmed grimly. Our scientists predict total planetary dissolution within 16 Earth days. Ben leaned forward, cosmic aware. Eunice automatically engaging to perceive the deeper patterns within the hologram. The rifts weren't random. They formed a specific geometric configuration across the planet's surface. It's a key, he realized. Eyes momentarily flaring with starlight. The rifts are forming a dimensional key. Looma's expression revealed nothing, but the slight tightening of her upper hands betrayed surprise. Yes, exactly as our ancient texts describe. The chambers beneath the royal palace contain records of the previous star children, those born of both celestial and mortal essence. The texts speak of keys T. Had unlocked the pathways between dimensions. Previous star children. Gwen's interest sharpened. There have been others like Ben. 7 throughout known cosmic history, Looma confirmed. Each rising when the multiverse faced existential threat, each forming a triumvirate to balance their power. Her 4 eyes focused on Ben with unnerving intensity, each changing the fundamental nature of reality before their transition. Transition? Ben questioned, not liking the ominous undertone. Looma hesitated, choosing her words carefully. The texts are incomplete regarding the ultimate fate of star children. But they are clear that the triumvirate is essential to preventing cosmic dissolution during the confluence. The alignment paradox mentioned, Julie recalled. He said it was happening sooner than calculated. Because it's being accelerated, Ben concluded, the knowledge surfacing from his cosmic awareness like a bubble rising through water. Something's forcing the confluence to happen now. Before it naturally would. Yes, Looma confirmed, genuine concern breaking through her warrior's composure. And Koro stands at the convergence point, the first world that will be consumed if the process continues unchecked. Magister Tennyson, who had been listening intently, finally spoke. What exactly are you requesting from us, Princess Looma? Technical assistance. Evacuation support. Neither. Looma replied, straightening regally. I request that the Star Child. She inclined her head toward Ben, accompany me to Koros to consult our ancient texts and say the rifts before they consume my world. Ben exchanged glances with Julie and Gwen, their triumvirate connection allowing a level of nonverbal communication that transcended ordinary understanding. Concern, curiosity, and determination flowed between them. I'll need to bring Julie and Gwen, Ben stated rather than asked. The triumvirate stays together. That is acceptable, Looma agreed readily. In fact, it is necessary according to the texts. What about the Chronosapian Collective? Julie questioned. They've already tried to eliminate Ben once. If he leaves Earth's protection. My ship carries temporal shielding specifically designed to mask the Star Child's signature, Looma interrupted. We anticipated such concerns. How convenient that you have everything prepared, Gwen observed. A note of suspicion in her voice. Almost as though you expected Ben's awakening. Looma's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a Tetraman expression of acknowledgement. Not expected, hoped for. The prophecies spoke of signs preceding the Star Child's emergence. When the chronometer chambers began activating 3 months ago, we knew the time approached. 3 months ago, Julie's attention sharpened. That's when ship first detected the quantum fluctuations that brought us back to Earth. It's when I started having the dreams, Ben added quietly, drawing surprised looks from the others. Dreams about stars being born inside me. I thought they were just stress dreams from too many late-night missions. Looma nodded solemnly. The convergence was already beginning. Your AWOC. Enning was merely its most visible manifestation. Magister Tennyson cleared his throat. This decision requires consultation with Azimuth and Professor Paradox at minimum. Princess Looma, would you pay RMIT a brief recess while we discuss the implications? Time grows short, Looma replied, though she inclined her head in acquiescence. But I understand the need for proper counsel. I will wait. As the others rose, Ben found himself lingering, cosmic awareness drawn to subtle patterns emanating from Looma herself, threads of possibility connecting them that transcended their previous complicated history. There's something you're not telling us, he observed quietly once the others had moved toward the chamber entrance. Looma's lower right hand twitched slightly, a tetramantel equivalent to a human's raised eyebrow. There are many things I'm not telling you, Benjamin. Some because you aren't ready to hear them. Others because speaking them aloud might alter probability streams in unfortunate ways. You sound like Professor Paradox, Ben remarked with a hint of his old grin. A comparison I find neither flattering nor insulting, Looma replied, though a ghost of amusement touched her features. Time walkers have their uses, despite their cryptic methods. Ben leaned forward, temporarily forgetting diplomatic protocol. Why did you really come yourself? Your father could have sent any envoy. All 4 of Looma's eyes fixed on him, her expression unreadable. Because, Benjamin Tennyson, according to our most sacred texts, the Star Child requires 3 anchors to previous and cosmic dissolution during the confluence. You have claimed 2. She rose to her full imposing height. I intend to be the 3rd. Absolutely not, Azimuth declared, pacing across the laboratory table with agitation evident in every movement. The triumvirate bond is already established between Benjamin, Gwendolyn, and Julie. Introducing another connection could destabilize the entire quantum matrix. Looma seems convinced the texts indicate otherwise, Magister Tennyson countered, reviewing the data they'd gathered from the Tetraman presentation. And we have to acknowledge that their civilization has studied these cosmic cycles for millennia longer than we have. Professor Paradox, who had arrived moments after being summoned, stood slightly apart from the debate, studying his pocket watch with unusual intensity. Time is becoming increasingly nonlinear around these events, he observed. Possibilities that were once remote are now approaching certainty, while established patterns unravel. That's not helpful. Paradox, Ben complained from where he sat between Julie and Gwen, their proximity helping stabilize his fluctuating cosmic awareness. Simple question. Can Looma actually become part of this triumvirate thing, and should she? Simple questions rarely have simple answers when dealing with cosmic forces, Paradox replied with an apologetic smile. But in this instance, both Azimuth and Princess Looma are partially correct. The triumvirate connection you've established is indeed complete and functional. However, the ancient texts don't speak of a triumvirate at all. They describe a cosmic quaternity. 4 connections rather than 3, Gwen translated, violet energy briefly flaring around her hands as she processed this information. That actually aligns with certain anodite cosmological principles, the fourfold cosmic balance. It also correlates with Chorus's quaternary star system, Julie added, as ship projected astronomical data she'd accessed from the Plummer databases. 4 stellar masses in perfect gravitational harmony. Azimuth's expression remains skeptical. Numerological coincidences don't alter quantum entanglement physics. The triumvirate is stable. Adding another connection introduces unnecessary risk. Unless, Paradox interjected gently, the threefold connection was only the first stage of a more complex stabilization pattern. All eyes turned to Ben, who had remained uncharacteristically quiet during the discussion. Starlight flickered beneath his skin as he struggled with sensations he couldn't fully articulate. Cosmic awareness providing information his human consciousness wasn't evolved to interpret. I think, he began slowly, I think both are right. The triumvirate is stable now, but during the confluence, it won't be enough. He looked up, galaxies briefly visible in his irises. I can feel the patterns shifting, preparing for something bigger. The triumvirate is like training wheels. Necessary at first, but eventually limiting. An inelegant metaphor, Azimuth muttered, but not entirely inaccurate. Magister Tennyson folded his arms, considering the implications. If we accept that Looma's information is correct, then visiting Koros becomes even more critical. Their ancient texts may provide the only guide for navigating these cosmic transformations. Agreed, Paradox nodded, finally closing his pocket watch with unusual decisiveness. And sooner rather than later. The temporal fluctuations are accelerating faster than even I anticipated. Then we go to Koros, Ben decided. Standing with sudden determination, starlight briefly flared around him before settling into a subtle glow beneath his skin. If their records can help us understand what's happening and how to control it, we can't afford to ignore them. We go together, Julie amended, rising beside him. Ship rippled across her shoulders in apparent agreement. All of us, Gwen confirmed, completing the triumvirate's unified front. Azimuth sighed with the resignation of a genius perpetually surrounded by beings making decisions counter to his advice. Very well, but you'll take additional precautions. He activated a holographic interface, designing modifications to their quantum entanglement transmitters with remarkable speed. These upgrades should help maintain stability regardless of what transpires on Koros. And I, Paradox added, will monitor the temporal streams surrounding your journey. The Chronosapian collective remains an unpredictable factor in these events. As preparations accelerated around him, Ben found himself drawn to the viewport overlooking Earth's nightside. From orbit, the planet appeared peaceful, untouched by the cosmic forces gathering around it. Lights from cities traced human civilization across continents, oblivious to the multidimensional chess game being played for existence itself. He felt rather than heard Julie approach, her presence Regis, tearing through their quantum connection before her reflection appeared beside his in the reinforced glass. Second thoughts, she asked quietly. About 50,000 of them, Ben admitted with a wry smile. Plus a few cosmic insights I can't even put into words. He turned to face her directly. What about you? This isn't what you signed up for when you transferred back from Andromeda. Julie considered this, ship flowing into a contemplative pattern across her forearm. Actually, it kind of is. I knew something extraordinary was happening with you, that's why I came back. A small smile touched her lips. Though I admit, cosmic quaternity with your ex-fiancé from a warrior planet wasn't on my bingo card. Ben winced. Yeah, About that, Looma and I have a complicated history. I remember, Julie replied dryly. You mentioned it a few times during our relationship. Usually while hiding from four-armed bounty hunters. That's not. Ben began, then caught the subtle amusement in her expression. You're teasing me. Quote, someone has to keep you grounded, star child, she returned, momentarily resting her hand on his arm. The contact sent harmonizing energy through his system. Cosmic awareness settling into balanced alignment. But seriously, Ben, we'll figure this out together. That's what the triumvirate means. For now, he murmured, recalling Looma's assertion about the quaternity. Julie's expression grew thoughtful. Do you think she's right? About being your third anchor? I don't know, Ben answered honestly. Everything's changing so fast, it's hard to separate cosmic insight from wishful thinking or paranoia. He gestured vaguely at his temple. Having universes in your head doesn't automatically come with an instruction manual. Before Julie could respond, Gwen joined them at the viewport, completing their triangular formation. The triumvirate connection hummed with subtle energy as their proximity strengthened the quantum bonds between them. Quote, Looma's preparing her ship for departure, she informed them. Azimuth has finished the stabilizer modifications, and Grandmaster Helix just sent through some anodite texts that might relate to the Koros records. She studied Ben's reflection in the viewport. How are you holding up? Better when you're both nearby, he admitted. The connection really does help. It goes both ways, Gwen replied. Violet energy briefly flickering around her fingers. My mana abilities have expanded exponentially since the awakening. I'm perceiving magical energy on levels the Anodite Elders spend centuries trying to achieve. Ship has evolved too, Julie added, as the small mechanoid morphed into more complex configurations on her shoulder. His processing capacity has increased tenfold, and he's eloping new integration capabilities daily. Ben nodded slowly, cosmic awareness perceiving the subtle changes in both women, changes that extended beyond the immediately visible effects. The triumvirate wasn't just stabilizing his cosmic power, it was distributing aspects of it through their quantum connection, enhancing their natural abilities in unexpected ways. If the connection affects you both this much, he mused. What would happen if Looma joined as a fourth point? The question hung between them, unanswerable yet increasingly unavoidable. I guess we'll find out on Koros, Gwen finally replied. Practical as always despite the cosmic implications. Speaking of which, we should finish preparations. Paradox says we need to depart within the hour to avoid temporal complications. As they turned from the viewport, Ben took a final look at Earth. The planet he'd protected since childhood, now seeming simultaneously larger and smaller from his expanded perspective. Whatever answers awaited on Koros, he couldn't shake the feeling that when he next saw Earth, everything would be different. For better or worse remained to be seen. The Tetraman royal vessel cut through hyperspace with impressive efficiency, its quantum drive generating a stable wormhole that reduced the journey from Earth to Koros from weeks to hours. Within the ship's central chamber, Ben attempted to focus on Looma's combat instruction rather than the disorienting sensation of traveling faster than light while maintaining cosmic awareness of the surrounding dimensional layers. Your stance is weak, Looma criticized, circling him with practiced precision. All four of her arms were positioned in traditional Tetraman combat formation. Your human form lacks structural stability. Find your center. Ben adjusted his footing on the training mat, conscious of Julie and Gwen observing from the chamber's perimeter. My center keeps shifting between dimensions, he complained. It's a little distracting. Excuses. Looma dismissed flatly. The Star Child must master physical form before commanding cosmic forces. The ancient texts are explicit on this point. With remarkable speed for her size, Looma launched a coordinated four-armed strike sequence. Ben reacted instinctively, cosmic awareness accelerating his perception. He weaved between her attacks with fluid movements that seemed to momentarily leave afterimages in the air, his physical form partially phasing between dimensional states. Better, Looma acknowledged, adjusting her strategy accordingly. But still relying too obviously on your cosmic perception rather than disciplined technique. She pressed her advantage, upper arms engaging in direct strikes while her lower hands employed sweeping movements designed to disrupt his footwork. Ben found himself genuinely challenged despite his enhanced abilities. Looma had clearly continued her warrior training during the years since their last encounter, her already formidable skills refined to exceptional precision. The purpose of this exercise, Looma explained between strike combinations, is not merely combat proficiency. Physical discipline creates mental anchors that prevent cosmic dissociation. Cosmic what now? Ben questioned, narrowly avoiding a sweep that would have taken his legs from under him. Dissociation, Gwen supplied from the sidelines, following the explanation through her anodite knowledge. When consciousness expands beyond physical form, it's a risk for any being channeling cosmic energies. Precisely, Looma confirmed, executing a complex maneuver that finally broke through Ben's defenses, sending him sprawling onto the training mat. Without physical anchoring, cosmic entities become unbound from reality, existing everywhere and nowhere simultaneously. Effectively lost to the universe they once inhabited. Ben remained on the mat for a moment, absorbing both the impact and the information. So these combat exercises are basically keeping me, human, grounded in physical reality, Looma corrected, extending one of her lower hands to help him up. The Star Child is neither human nor celestial, but a bridge between states. The challenge is maintaining that bridge rather than dissolving into pure cosmic awareness. Ben accepted her assistance, noting with interest how contact with Looma produced a subtle stabilizing effect similar to, though distinct from, his connection with Julie and Gwen. The effect wasn't as pronounced as the triumvirate bond, but undeniably present. Fascinating, Julie observed, approaching with analytical interest as ship extended sensors to scan the energy patterns. There's definitely quantum resonance occurring, though the frequency differs from our established connection. The texts speak of different anchoring modalities, Looma explained, releasing Ben's hand once he was steady. Physical, technological, mystical, and temporal, each providing unique stabilization properties. And each corresponding to one of us, Gwen realized. My anodite abilities represent mystical anchoring, Julie and Ship provide technological connection. While my warrior discipline offers physical grounding. Looma completed the thought, together forming the quadrinity described in the ancient records. Ben looked between the three women, cosmic awareness briefly expanding to perceive the quantum threads connecting them, three established links forming the triumvirate, with potential fourth pathways shimmering as possibilities rather than certainties. But the quadrinity isn't established yet, he noted, putting words to the patterns he perceived. The connection with Looma exists as potential, not reality. Correct, Looma confirmed, her tone maintaining professional detachment despite the personal implications. According to our texts, the full quadrinity manifests only when necessary, during the confluence itself. Until then, the triumvirate provides sufficient stability. The ship's communication system activated, a Tetraman officer's voice filling the chamber. Princess, we approach Koro's space. The Planetary Defense Forces request verification of your royal signature. Looma moved to a control panel, placing her palm against a scanner that confirmed her genetic identity. Signal authenticated. Inform the Royal Guard we carry the Star Child and Riku. Ire immediate clearance to the ancestral chambers. Acknowledged, Princess. Warlord Gar awaits your arrival personally. As Looma completed the security protocols, Julie moved closer to Ben, speaking quietly. Are you okay with all this? The combat training, the quadrinity talk, it's a lot to process on top of everything else. Ben ran a hand through his hair, a human gesture that momentarily grounded his fluctuating cosmic awareness. Honestly, I'm just trying to keep up. But Looma's training actually helps, gives me something concrete to focus on instead of getting lost in cosmic perception. It does seem to stabilize your energy patterns, Gwen agreed, having monitored the fluctuations through her mana senses. Your cosmic emissions were almost 50% more controlled during the combat exercise. The vessel shuddered slightly as it transitioned from hyperspace to normal space, viewports clearing to reveal the Koro's system. Unlike Earth's single yellow sun, 4 stars of varying sizes and colors orbited a common center point in perfect gravitational harmony, a quaternary system that bathed the approaching planet in complex overlapping light patterns. Koros, Looma announced with understated pride, joining them at the viewport, homeworld of the Tetraman people for 23,000 generations. The planet itself presented a study in harsh beauty, rust sea. Olored deserts and mountain ranges covering much of the visible surface, interrupted by artificially maintained agricultural regions and the geometric precision of ancient cities. Even from orbit, the massive scale of Tetraman architecture was apparent, buildings constructed for beings of greater size and strength than humans. Also visible from their approach vector were the reality fractures Looma had described, shimmering distortions in space-time that created visible ripples across the planetary surface. 7 major rifts formed a precise geometric pattern, connecting key locations around the globe. The pattern is accelerating, Looma observed, concern evident despite her warrior's composure. The rifts have expanded 12% since my departure. As they began atmospheric entry, Ben's cosmic awareness suddenly flared, perceiving something beyond normal senses, a presence watching them from the spaces between dimensions. "We're being observed," he announced, starlight flaring. G beneath his skin as he activated deeper cosmic perception. Something ancient, powerful, curious rather than hostile, but definitely focused on us. The Void Architects, Looma identified without hesitation. They always watch when the cosmic cycle approaches confluence. Void Architects, Julie questioned, ship automatically forming protective configurations around her in response to Ben's warning. Entities that exist in the dimensional interstices, Looma explained as their ship continued its controlled descent. Neither creators nor destroyers, but maintainers of cosmic structure. They observe but rarely intervene directly. "I can feel their attention," Ben murmured, cosmic awareness expanding despite his efforts to maintain focus. His perception stretched beyond the ship, beyond Koros, into the quantum foam between realities where vast intelligences moved with deliberate purpose. They're concerned. Something isn't following the expected pattern. Gwen realized, violet energy rippling around her hands as her anodite senses aligned with Ben's cosmic awareness. The triumvirate formed differently than previous cycles. They're trying to determine if we represent correction or further deviation. The ship shuddered again, more violently this time, as they passed near one of the reality rifts. Alarms sounded throughout the vessel as systems temporarily fluctuated. Temporal shielding holding at 63%, a Tetraman officer reported through the communication system. Recommend immediate course correction to avoid direct rift interaction. Negative, Looma countermanded. Maintain approach vector to the ancestral landing field. The Star Child's presence will stabilize our passage. Ben glanced at her with raised eyebrows. "It will. It must," Looma replied simply. "The alternative is unacceptable." As if responding to her faith, Ben felt cosmic knowledge surfacing from depths he couldn't consciously access, understanding of He rift dynamics and how to counter them. Without fully comprehending how he knew what to do, he extended his hands toward the viewport, cosmic energy flowing visibly beneath his skin. "Julie, Gwen," he called, instinctively recognizing the need for triumvirate stabilization. "I need you." They moved to his sides without hesitation, the quantum entanglement between them activating fully as they made physical contact. Energy flowed in a triangular circuit, Ben's cosmic power, Gwen's mana manipulation, Julie's technorganic integration through ship, creating a balanced system greater than its individual components. Through this connection, Ben perceived the reality rift at a fundamental level, not merely a tear in space-time, but a mathematical equation gone wrong, a cosmic calculation requiring correction. With Gwen channeling the necessary energy and Julie providing processing structure through ship, he reached out and simply rewrote the formula. The rift before them didn't close entirely, but its chaotic fluctuations settled into predictable patterns, creating a stable corridor through which their vessel could safely pass. "Impressive," Looma acknowledged, monitoring the effect through the ship's sensors. "You're learning to apply cosmic power through structured intention rather than instinctive reaction." "Less complimenting, more flying," Ben suggested, strain evident his voice is maintaining the stabilization field required continuous focus. "This isn't as easy as it looks." The Tetraman pilots took advantage of the temporary corridor, accelerating their descent toward the massive royal complex visible in the planet's northern hemisphere. The ancestral palace of the Red Wind dynasty dominated the landscape, a fortress city of crimson stone and advanced metallurgy that had stood for thousands of years. As they approached the landing field, Ben perceived a gathering of significant energy below, hundreds of Tetramans assembled in ceremonial formation, chaired around a commanding figure he recognized from previous encounters. "Your father's arranged quite the welcome committee," he observed to Looma, finally releasing the stabilization field as they cleared the rift's influence. "The arrival of a star child is a momentous event in Tetraman history," she replied, checking her ceremonial armor with habitual precision. "The last recorded visitation was 17 generations ago. Many believed the cycle had ended permanently." The ship settled onto the ancient stone landing field with practiced ease, hydraulic systems compensating for Chorus's stronger gravity. Through the viewport, Ben could see the assembled Tetramans arranging themselves in precise geometric patterns that, to his cosmic perception, formed energy channeling configurations across the ground. "They're creating a containment grid," he realized, "in case my powers destabilize during transition to the surface." "A standard precaution," Looma confirmed without apology. The texts describe previous star children causing significant reality fluctuations when first encountering Chorus's quaternary energy field. "Great," Ben muttered, "so I might accidentally rewrite reality because of jet lag." "Dimensional transition stress," Looma corrected seriously. "And yes, the possibility exists. Hence the containment preparations." As the ship powered down, Tetraman of Ficers approached with ceremonial attire, specially designed garments for the expected visitors. Looma accepted her royal regalia without comment, while presenting the others with their designated clothing. "These contain resonator threads that will help stabilize your energy signatures in Chorus's atmosphere," she explained. "Particularly important for the Star Child, but beneficial for all Triumvirate members." The garments combined practical design with unmistakable ceremonial significance. Ben's featured an elaborate cosmic pattern centered around a modified version of the Omnitrix symbol. Gwen's incorporated anodite energy channeling weaves in royal purple, while Julie's contained integrated circuits that ship could interface with directly. "They knew exactly what to prepare for us," Julie noted with a hint of suspicion as she examined the garment. "Right down to ship's integration requirements. The texts are specific regarding triumvirate composition," Looma replied, securing her ceremonial weapons. "Though adaptations were necessary for your particular manifestations. Once properly attired, they assembled at the ship's main exit ramp." Ben stood at the center, with July, i.e. and Gwen flanking him in triumvirate formation. Looma positioned herself slightly apart, her role as guide and potential fourth anchor acknowledged but not yet fully integrated. "Remember," Looma instructed as the ramp began to lower. "Tetraman ceremonial protocol requires specific responses to the Warlord's formal greeting. As Star Child, you must." The rest of her sentence was lost as the ramp completed its descent, revealing the full spectacle awaiting them. Hundreds of Tetraman warriors stood in perfect formation, their four-armed salute creating a forest of ceremonial weapons gleaming in the quaternary sunlight. Drums pounded in complex polyrhythms that Ben's cosmic awareness recognized as mathematically precise sound-based reality anchors. At the formation's center stood Warlord Gar Red Wind, his massive frame adorned with the full regalia of Tetraman royal authority. Unlike their previous encounters, where Ben had registered as little more than an annoying potential son-in-law, the Warlord now regarded him with the solemn respect due to a cosmic entity. "The Star Child comes," Warlord Gar's voice boomed across the landing field, the formal proclamation echoing from the ancient stones. "The confluence approaches. The cycle continues." The assembled warriors responded with a synchronized movement that sent vibrations through the ground beneath their feet, a plain, Terry welcome that registered on seismic sensors. As Ben stepped onto Koro's soil for the first time in years, cosmic energy flared visibly around him despite the stabilizing garments. The quaternary sunlight interacted with his awakened celestial sapien DNA in unexpected ways, causing galaxies to momentarily manifest around his form before the triumvirate connection stabilized the reaction. "Impressive entrance," Julie murmured beside him. "Very cosmic messiah chic." Not helping, Ben returned under his breath, focusing on maintaining control as they proceeded down the ceremonial pathway toward Warlord Gar. The Tetraman ruler studied Ben with all four eyes, his expression unreadable to most observers but registering as complex anticipation to Ben's enhanced perception. "Benjamin Tennyson," the Warlord acknowledged, voice pitched to carry to all assembled warriors. "You stand transformed by cosmic awakening, yet retain your essential self. The prophecy manifests in balance." Ben, recognized his cue from Looma's hasty diplomatic briefing aboard the ship. Warlord Gar Red Wind, he responded formally, cosmic energy briefly flaring beneath his skin as he spoke. I come seeking an sentient knowledge to understand what I have become and how it may serve the greater cosmic balance. The formal exchange complete, Warlord Gar's demeanor shifted subtly toward the practical. The reality fractures accelerate their expansion. We must proceed immediately to the ancestral chambers. He gestured toward the massive palace complex. The way is prepared. As the ceremonial formation parted to create a path forward, Ben felt a sudden dimensional shift in his cosmic awareness, a ripple in reality approaching rapidly from above. His gaze snapped upward just as alarm horns sounded throughout the royal complex. Chronosapian signatures detected in orbit. A Tetraman officer announced, communication device projecting tactical displays visible to all assembled leaders. Multiple vessels emerging from temporal fold. The collective, Gwen identified, violet energy surrounding her hands as she prepared defensive measures. They followed us despite the temporal shielding. No, Ben countered, cosmic perception extending beyond planetary limitations to observe the approaching threat. They didn't follow us. They were already here, waiting. He turned to Looma, understanding dawning. The rifts, they're not just random damage. They're entry points. Looma nodded grimly, all four hands moving to her weapons. The Chronosapians seek to control the confluence by securing Koros first. They've been planning this since they detected your awakening. Warlord Gar issued rapid commands, Tetraman warriors moving with practiced efficiency to defensive positions. The ancestral chambers must be protected at all costs, he declared. If the Chronosapians gain access to the cosmic records, the threat remained unfinished as the first attack materialized, not from orbit as expected, but directly through the nearest reality rift. Chronosapian combat units emerged in precise formation, their design more advanced than the mercenaries Ben had encountered on Earth. These were official collective forces, their chronometers pulsing with coordinated temporal energy. Offensive Formation 3, Looma commanded her royal guards, who moved to intercept without hesitation. To the triumvirate, she added, we must reach the chambers immediately. The surface battle is merely distraction. Ben nodded, cosmic awareness already perceiving the deeper strategy at play. The Chronosapians weren't trying to capture him as they had on Earth. They were attempting to prevent his access to knowledge that could threaten their plans. Lead the way, he told Looma, cosmic energy gathering around his hands. We'll handle any resistance. As they moved toward the palace complex, reality rippled again, this time directly before them. A figure emerged from apparent nothingness, its form unlike standard Chronosapian design. Taller, more sophisticated, with a chronometer mechanism that seemed to exist partially outside conventional physics. Temporal Prime, Looma identified, all four hands raising weapons simultaneously. The collective leadership embodiment. The entity regarded them with multifaceted optical sensors, its voice resonating with harmonic overtones that affected the surrounding time flow. Benjamin Tennyson, Star Child Anomaly. Your awakening sequence deviates from established patterns. Correction is required. By correction, I'm guessing you mean eliminating me, Ben replied. Stepping forward as cosmic energy flared visibly around his form. That didn't work out so well for your mercenaries on Earth. A miscalculation, Temporal Prime acknowledged without emotion. Direct elimination creates unacceptable probability cascades. The preferred solution is chronological isolation. Before Ben could respond, Temporal Prime's central chronometer activated, emitting a specialized temporal field that expanded outward in concentric rings. Where the field touched, reality froze, not merely physical movement, but time itself locked in perfect stasis. Ben instinctively countered with his cosmic abilities, creating a protective bubble around himself and the triumvirate. Outside their protection, Tetraman warriors froze mid-motion, caught in temporal stasis that extended across the landing field. Time manipulation against a cosmic entity. Ben challenged, confidence growing as he felt Julie and Gwen's stabilizing presence through the triumvirate connection. Really not your best strategy. A common misconception, Temporal Prime replied, its mechanisms reconfiguring for a secondary protocol. Chronosapians do not merely manipulate time. E exist within its fundamental structure. The entity's chronometer pulsed again, this time emitting a beam that struck the ground between them. Rather than freezing time, it accelerated it, creating a localized temporal storm that aged the stone to dust, then reversed to pristine condition, then fractured into timelines where different outcomes manifested simultaneously. Okay, that's new, Ben admitted, maintaining the protective field with increasing effort as the temporal distortions grew more complex. Gwen stepped forward within their protective bubble, violet energy flowing around her hands as she analyzed the attack. It's not just manipulating our timeline, she observed. It's creating timeline confluences, merging possibilities to destabilize reality itself. A primitive description, but essentially correct. Temporal Prime confirmed, its mechanisms continuing to accelerate. The confluence approaches naturally. We merely hasten and direct its manifestation. Julie turned to Ben, ship flowing across her form to create enhanced sensory arrays. They're trying to trigger the confluence prematurely, while the triumvirate is still incomplete. The quadrinity cannot be permitted to form, Temporal Prime stated, confirming their theory. Previous cycles established parameters. Deviation threatens cosmic equilibrium. Understanding dawned across Ben's features as Cosm. I see knowledge surfaced through his awakened connection. You're afraid, he realized, starlight flaring in his eyes as deeper perception engaged. Not of me specifically, but of what the quadrinity resents. A new cosmic equation outside your calculations. Temporal Prime's mechanisms paused momentarily, the closest expression to surprise its form could manifest. Probability cascades must be managed. Unconstrained cosmic rewriting threatens established universal constants. Enough debate, Looma interjected, four eyes narrowed with warrior's focus. The chambers await, and this entity delays us purposefully. She was right, Ben realized. Every moment spent in philosophical discussion with Temporal Prime allowed the Chronosapian forces to secure additional positions around the palace complex. Hold them off, Ben instructed the Tetraman princess, cosmic energy gathering between his hands. I'll create an opening. Without waiting for response, Ben channeled power through the triumvirate connection, drawing on Gwen's mana manipulation and Julie's technorganic processing to create a precise reality disruption. Rather than attacking Temporal Prime directly, he targeted the diamond sional structure surrounding it, creating a localized pocket where conflicting temporal rules temporarily cancelled each other out. Temporal Prime's form flickered as its fundamental manipulation abilities faltered within the disrupted zone. Unauthorized reality revision detected, it intoned, mechanisms working furiously to compensate. Celestial Sapian protocols engaged. Now, Ben shouted, entaining the disruption field with concentrated effort. Looma moved with impressive speed for her size, all four arms working in coordinated attack patterns as she engaged Temporal Prime directly. Our weapons, seemingly primitive by comparison to the Time entity's technology, proved unexpectedly effective, their crystalline components disrupting chronometric fluctuations on contact. The ancestral chambers, she called over her shoulder while maintaining her assault. Second courtyard. Central spire. The entrance will recognize the Star Child. Ben nodded, expanding the protective field to include Julie and Gwen as they navigated around the combat zone. Throughout the landing field, temporal stasis effects were beginning to fluctuate as Tetraman warriors with specialized equipment worked to counter the Chronosapian technology. What about Looma? Gwen questioned as they moved toward the palace complex. She knows what she's doing, Ben replied, though concern colored his tone. And we need the information from those chambers to understand what we're really facing. As they reached the palace perimeter, another reality ripple manifested before them. This time, however, the entity that emerged was dramatically different from the Chronosapians. A humanoid figure composed of what appeared to be solidified darkness, with stars visible in the depths of its form, like a walking segment of deep space. Void Architect. Ben identified immediately, cosmic awareness recognizing the dimensional signature. The entity regarded them without obvious sensory organs, yet conveyed clear assessment. When it spoke, the words formed directly in their minds rather than through conventional sound. Star Child. Triumvirate incomplete. Pattern deviates. Purpose unclear. We're trying to reach the ancestral chambers. Ben explained, sensing no immediate hostility from the entity despite its imposing presence. The Chronosapians are attempting to prevent us from accessing knowledge about the confluence. The Void Architect's form shifted, stars within its darkness rearranging into new constellations that conveyed meaning beyond human language. Ben's cosmic awareness interpreted the complex communication. Chronosapien intervention unexpected. Confluence parameters shifting. Observation continues. We don't need observation. Julie stepped forward, ship forming protective configurations around her despite the apparent futility against such an entity. We need assistance, or at least clear passage to the chambers. The Void Architect considered this request, its starfield body pulsing with internal calculations. After a moment that seemed simultaneously instantaneous and eternal, it extended what might be described as a limb, opening a pathway through reality itself, a direct dimensional shortcut to their destination. Equilibrium requires assessment. Star Child must access records. Architects will maintain dimensional stability until determination complete. Thank you, Ben acknowledged, recognizing the significant concession this represented from entities that typically remained entirely neutral. As they stepped through the dimensional shortcut, reality briefly dissolved around them before reconstructing at their destination, the central courtyard of the ancestral palace, directly before a towering spire of crimson stone and unknown alloys. Ancient glyphs covered its surface, glowing faintly with energies that responded to Ben's presence. The ancestral chambers, Gwen breathed, her anodite senses detecting the accumulated knowledge and power contained within the structure. I can feel the records. They're not just written, they're encoded into the dimensional structure of the building itself. Ben approached the sealed entrance, cosmic energy automatically flowing from his hand to interact with the ancient mechanisms. The glyphs brightened in response, patterns rearranging to form new configurations that his awakened consciousness somehow understood. It recognizes me, he murmured, watching as the massive door began to reconfigure, components shifting like a three-dimensional puzzle unlocking itself. Or what I represent, anyway. Star Child. Julie read from the glyphs as ship translated. Celestial awakened. Bridge between realms. The entrance completed its transformation, revealing a pathway that descended into depths that appeared to extend beyond conventional space, each step leading further into dimensions that existed partially outside normal reality. The records we need are down there, Ben stated with certainty born of cosmic awareness. Information about previous star children, the true nature of the confluence, and why the Chronosapiens are so determined to prevent the quadernity from forming. A massive explosion shook the courtyard, reminding them of the battle raging throughout the complex. Temporal distortions rippled across the sky as Chronosapien forces engaged both Tetraman defenders and the newly manifested Void Architects. We need to hurry, Gwen urged, violet energy flaring around her hands as she sensed approaching danger. That dimensional shortcut won't throw them off for long. Ben nodded, turning toward the descending pathway with determination. Stay close. According to what I'm sensing, the chambers exist partially outside normal space-time. We'll need the triumvirate connection to navigate safely. As they began their descent, cosmic energy illuminated their path, revealing increasingly ancient architecture that defied conventional geometry, angles that shouldn't connect forming seamless transitions. Spaces that appeared simultaneously vast and intimate depending on perspective. It's beautiful, Julie whispered, ship extending sensory arrays to record the impossible configurations. Like mathematics made physical. It's more than that, Gwen added, her expression awestruck as her anodite senses perceived deeper patterns. It's a cosmic record system, storing information not just about events, but the fundamental rules that govern them. The pathway eventually opened into a central chamber that defied easy description. The space expanded beyond what LD have been physically possible within the spire, creating an interior dimension with its own rules. At the chamber's center stood a crystalline structure resembling a tree, its branches extending upward into infinity while its roots disappeared into depths that seemed to contain galaxies. The Nexus Archive, Ben identified, the knowledge surfacing from his cosmic awareness. A living record of cosmic cycles. As they approached the crystalline tree, images began to form within its structure, historical records activating in response to Ben's presence. They watched as previous star children manifested in different eras, each accompanied by their own unique triumvirate configurations. 7 previous awakenings, Gwen counted, studying the images with scholarly intensity. Each during periods of cosmic realignment. And each forming a quaternity eventually, Julie noted, as ship projected analytical overlays highlighting the patterns. Though the configurations differ significantly. Ben reached out toward the crystal tree, cosmic energy flowing from his fingertips to establish direct connection. Information flooded his consciousness, knowledge of previous cycles, the true purpose of the Star Child's awakening, and the nature of the confluence they now faced. It's not what we thought, he gasped, overwhelmed by the revelation. The confluence isn't just an alignment or a cosmic event, it's a choice point. A moment when reality itself becomes malleable enough to be rewritten. Rewritten by whom? Julie questioned, concern evident in her expression. By the quaternity, Ben answered, continuing to process the ancient knowledge. Previous cycles established different cosmic constants, fundamental rules governing how reality functions. Each quaternity made choices had shaped the universe for the cycle that followed. And the Chronosapiens want to control this choice point, Gwen realized, pieces falling into place. They're not trying to prevent the conflunk. They're trying to ensure it happens on their terms. Ben nodded grimly. They want to establish temporal primacy, make time the governing constant of the next cosmic cycle, with their collective as its administrators. Before they could discuss further implications, a familiar voice echoed from the chamber entrance. And now you understand why we couldn't allow you unfettered access to this knowledge. They turned to find Temporal Prime standing at the pathway's end, its chronometer pulsing with complex energies. Behind it, several Chronosapien units established positions, temporal weapons primed. Where's Looma? Ben demanded, cosmic energy gathering defensively around the triumvirate. The Tetraman Princess continues her resistance, Temporal Prime replied without emotion. An impressive but ultimately futile effort against inevitable probability. Nothing's inevitable, Ben countered, starlight flaring in his eyes as cosmic power responded to his rising emotions. That's the whole point of the confluence, choice. Not predetermined outcome. A dangerously simplistic interpretation, Temporal Prime responded, mechanisms reconfiguring for combat. Cosmic constants require careful calibration. Previous quaternity configurations maintained essential equilibrium. Your triumvirate demonstrates dangerous instability. You mean we're unpredictable? Julie translated, ship, flowing across her form to create combat configurations. Outside your calculated parameters. And that terrifies you, Gwen added, mana shields forming around them as she prepared for the confrontation. Temporal Prime's chronometer pulsed once, creating a localized temporal field that slowed their perception while accelerating its approach. Dialogue concluded. Chronosapien ascendants will proceed according to established protocols. Ben's cosmic awareness expanded instinctively, perceiving the multidimensional attack before it fully manifested. Rather than attempting to counter the complex temporal manipulations directly, he drew on the knowledge freshly acquired from the Nexus archive, understanding how fundamental constants could be temporarily suspended in localized spaces. Julie, Gwen, he called. Cosmic energy flowing through the triumvirate connection. I need synchronized focus. They responded instantly, the quantum entanglement between them strengthening as they aligned their unique abilities. Through this connection, Ben created a reality bubble around them where temporal physics operated according to their defined parameters rather than universal constants. Inside this bubble, Temporal Prime's chronometric attacks dissolved into harmless energy patterns, unable to affect a space where time itself followed different rules. Unauthorized reality manipulation detected, Temporal Prime announced. Its mechanisms working furiously to compensate. Deploying countermeasures. The Chronosapien units surrounding it activated simultaneously, combining their temporal fields to create overlapping attack patterns designed to overwhelm Ben's protective bubble through sheer complexity. The strategy might have succeeded against a conventional opponent, but Ben's awakened cosmic awareness allowed him to perceive each temporal equation they deployed, countering with appropriate adjustments to his reality manipulation. The triumvirate connection provided the stability and processing capacity needed to maintain these complex calculations without succumbing to cosmic dissociation. This isn't working, Julie observed as the stalemate continued, ship's sensors monitoring the energy expenditure required to maintain their defense. We can hold them off, but we're not making progress toward understanding how to handle the actual confluence. We need Looma, Gwen stated. violet energy flickering as she helped channel cosmic power through the triumvirate circuit. The quadrinity information in the archives clearly indicates 4 anchor points are required for full stabilization during reality reconfiguration. Ben nodded grimly, cosmic awareness stretching beyond the chamber to locate the Tetraman princess. He found her still fighting on the surface, holding her own against multiple Chronosapian units through sheer warrior skill and determination. "She's too far away," he reported. "And we're running out of time. I can feel the confluence accelerating." Probably because of all of this temporal manipulation. As if confirming his assessment, the crystalline tree at the chamber's center began pulsing with increasing urgency, its branches forming new configurations that displayed cosmic alignment patterns approaching critical thresholds. "We need a decision," Temporal Prime stated, its tone shifting to something almost reasonable. "The confluence will not wait for resolution of this conflict. Without proper guidance, reality itself may shatter into irreconcilable fragments." "By proper guidance, you mean your control," Ben challenged. "Maintaining the protective field despite growing strain. Control ensures stability," Temporal Prime countered. "Your quadrinity represents unknown variables, potentially catastrophic uncertainty." Before Ben could respond, reality rippled once more as a void architect manifested within the chamber, its starfield body somehow bypassing both Chronosapian defenses and Ben's protective bubble. Confluence accelerates. Decision point approaches. Pattern requires completion. The entity's communication resonated directly in their minds, carrying multidimensional concepts beyond conventional language. Accompanying this message, the Void Architect generated a dimensional fold through which Looma suddenly appeared, transported directly from the surface battle to the chamber. The Tetraman Princess looked momentarily disoriented before quickly assessing the situation, all 4 hands still gripping her weapons as she moved to join the triumvirate. "The surface defenses are failing," she reported succinctly. "Chronosapian reinforcements continue to arrive through the reality rifts." Ben nodded acknowledgement, relief at her arrival tempered by the gravity of their situation. "The confluence is accelerating. According to the archives, we need to establish the quadrinity before the alignment peaks. And decide the fundamental constants for the next cosmic cycle," Gwen added, her scholar Lee mind still processing the implications of what they'd learned. Looma's 4 eyes widened slightly, the only indication of surprise from the disciplined warrior. The record spoke of cosmic influence, but not complete universal reconfiguration, which is precisely why such power cannot be entrusted to untested entities, Temporal Prime interjected, its chronometer pulsing with increasing urgency. "The Chronosapian Collective has calculated optimal parameters for cosmic stability." The Void Architect's starfield body pulsed in what might have been disagreement. "Calculation insufficient. Understanding requires perspective beyond temporal limitations. Quadrinity provides balance through dimensional variance. We don't have time to debate cosmic philosophy," Julie noted practically, as ship's sensors indicated escalating energy patterns throughout the chamber. "The confluence is happening now, whether we're ready or not." She was right, Ben realized. The crystalline tree had begun to transform, its structure becoming increasingly energized as cosmic forces converged. Through his awakened awareness, he could perceive reality itself becoming malleable around them, fundamental cons. Tants preparing to be rewritten according to whatever pattern emerged from the confluence. "We need to form the quadrinity," he decided, cosmic energy flowing visibly beneath his skin as he turned to Looma. "If you still want to be part of this, now's the time." The Tetraman Princess stood tall, her warrior's composure unshaken despite the cosmic implications. "I have prepared for this moment since the chronometer chambers first activated. I stand ready." Unacceptable probability cascade detected, Temporal Prime announced, its mechanisms initiating what appeared to be a last resort protocol. Implementing temporal isolation procedure, the Chronosapian units surrounding it began to generate a specialized field designed to sever their section of reality from the surrounding universe, creating a bubble where they could control the confluence outcome regardless of external interference. The Void Architect moved to counter this attempt, its starfield body expanding to maintain dimensional connectivity. Balance requires choice. Chronosapian dominance creates asymmetry. As cosmic forces gathered and reality itself began to waver, Ben realized they had reached the critical decision point. The triumvirate connection had served its purpose, stabilizing his awakening and bringing them to this moment. Now they needed to either complete the quadrinity or risk losing control of the confluence entirely. Julie, Gwen, he addressed his established anchors, cosmic energy flowing through their quantum entanglement. Are you okay with this? Adding Looma changes everything. They exchanged glances, their connection allowing deeper understanding than words could convey. The archives confirm it's necessary, Gwen replied, practical even in cosmic matters. And there's literally no time for alternatives. We adapt, Julie added simply, ship rippling across her form in apparent agreement. That's what we do. Ben nodded, turning to Looma with newfound resolve. Then let's complete the pattern. As Temporal Prime and the Void Architect continued their dimensional contest around them, Ben extended his hand toward Looma. The Tetraman princess hesitated only briefly before clasping it with her upper right hand. Her expression solemn with understanding of the momentous step they were taking. The moment their hands connected, cosmic energy surged through the contact point, creating a new quantum entanglement pathway that completed the geometric pattern. The triumvirate connection didn't dissolve but expanded, incorporating the fourth anchor point to create something new, the quadrinity described in the ancient records. Power flowed in geometric precision, Ben's cosmic awareness at the center, connected to Julie's technorganic integration, Gwen's mystical manipulation. And now Looma's physical discipline. 4 aspects in perfect balance, creating a stable foundation for cosmic transformation. The crystalline tree responded immediately, its structure fully activating as it recognized the completed pattern. Images formed within its branches, showing the quadrinity configurations from previous cosmic cycles, each making choices that defined reality for eons to follow. The decision point, Ben realized, understanding flowing through the quadrinity connection. We need to establish the fundamental constant for the next cycle. Time, Temporal Prime insisted, its chronometer pulsing desperately as it struggled against the Void Architect's containment. Temporal primacy ensures measurable progression and predictable causality. Balance requires more than progression. The Void Architect countered, pattern must incorporate dimensional harmony. Through the quadrinity connection, Ben perceived possibilities beyond normal comprehension, different configurations of universal constants that would define how reality functioned on its most fundamental level. Time, space, energy, matter, consciousness, each could serve as the primary organizing principle around which other constants arranged themselves. Previous cycles had established different primacies, cycles where spatial relationships defined reality, where energy flows determined causality, where consciousness itself shaped physical laws. Each configuration created different possibilities and limitations for the beings that evolved within those parameters. We don't have to choose one absolute, Ben realized, the knowledge surfacing through his expanded awareness. The quadrinity itself represents balance between different aspects, cosmic, technological, mystical, and physical. Understanding flowed through their connection as the implications became clear. Previous cycles established single constant primacy, Gwen articulated, violet energy flowing through the quadrinity circuit, creating inherent imbalances that eventually required correction. A new pattern, Julie continued, ship integrating with the energy flow to provide processing structure. Harmonic rather than hierarchical, balance through disciplined structure, Looma completed, her warrior's precision bringing focus to the cosmic energies flowing between them. Together, they began to shape a new configuration, not elevating one constant above others, but establishing resonant relationships between fundamental forces. Time and space, energy and matter, consciousness and causality, all arranged in harmonious patterns rather than rigid hierarchies. Probability calculations exceed parameters, Temporal Prime objected, its mechanisms struggling to process the unprecedented configuration. Harmonic constants create unpredictable interaction potentials. Not unpredictable, Ben countered, cosmic awareness expanding through the quadrinity connection to encompass the full implications of their choice. Just beyond your limited perspective. Life thrives on balanced complexity, not rigid control. The crystalline tree pulsed with increasing energy as the confluence reached its peak, reality becoming fully malleable around them. Through their connection, the quadrinity shaped the new cosmic pattern with careful precision, not rewriting existence completely, but adjusting fundamental relatio. N ships to create greater balance and potential. As the new configuration crystallized, energy surged through the chamber and beyond, spreading outward through dimensions to establish the pattern throughout reality. The reality rifts on Koros began to stabilize, their chaotic fluctuations resolving into harmonious energy flows that reinforced planetary structure rather than threatening it. "It's working," Gwen observed, her anodite senses perceiving the changes rippling outward through dimensional layers. The harmonic pattern is self-stabilizing. Temporal primes form flickered as the new cosmic constants took effect, its chronometric functions adapting to an environment where time remained important but no longer held potential for absolute dominance. "Adjustment required," the entity stated, mechanisms reconfiguring to accommodate the altered reality parameters. Chronosapian Collective must recalibrate. The Void Architect's starfield body pulsed with what might have been approval. Pattern recognized. Harmony established. Observation continues. As the cosmic energies settled into their new configuration, the quaternity connection remained intact, 4 distinct individuals linked by quantum entanglement that transcended conventional relationships. Through this connection, Ben could perceive how each anchor contributed essential aspects to the whole, creating stability that none could achieve individually. "So," Julie was the first to speak as the immediate crisis subsided, "did we just rewrite the fundamental laws of reality?" "Not completely," Ben replied, cosmic awareness gradually settling into more manageable levels as the confluence passed its peak. "More like, adjusted the balance. Previous cycles emphasized single constants, creating domina NT forces that eventually required correction. Our configuration establishes resonant relationships instead," Gwen elaborated, scholarly precision helping articulate the complex concept. "No single force holds primacy, but all work in harmonic patterns. Which means," Looma concluded with characteristic directness, "we have prevented both chronosapian domination and cosmic instability simultaneously." Ben nodded, feeling the quaternity connection stabilizing into something sustainable rather than merely crisis-driven. The bond didn't override their individual identities or relationships, but created a deeper connection that accommodated their differences while establishing shared purpose. The end. Remember to subscribe and like this video. See you in the next video.